Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers, on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every fortnight we pick a film topic. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out in 3 categories: directing, acting, and screenplay, and we score them out of 10 to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to 2 film geeks from Wiltshire, England. Enjoy! So this week on the Film vs. Film podcast, for the very first one, we'll be talking about Tarantino films. My pick is Inglourious Bastards. Boaz, what's your pick?
My pick is Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, good choice. Possibly better than mine, I'm not sure. Very difficult to choose between. Tell us why you picked Pulp Fiction.
In my opinion, it was one of the first Tarantino movies I'd ever seen, and it was a hell of a unique experience. It's infinitely quotable. It's very popular. It's started many careers, like Samuel L. Jackson. That's where he's known for. It's an incredibly funny movie. It's incredibly dark. It has great action. It has good twists and a great plot. Direction, I don't know. Can you get much higher? Maybe 9 or a 10. I think it's phenomenally well directed. Just that one, it gets the best performances out of any actor. Just the scenes are just amazing. The lighting, the camera work.
He has like great use of close-ups. Like,
oh yeah,
I remember in the heroin scene.
Yeah,
you know, Maya, played by Uma Thurman, she has a heroin overdose, and Vincent rushes her back to what's his name? Lance's place.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And first of all, he crashes into his garage, which is hilarious, and then he brings her in, and just before they put the massive needle. The needle's like half a foot long.
Yeah.
Vincent's got a stab into her chest. But before they do it, they kind of do these very, these close-up shots all before he stabs her in the chest with the adrenaline needle. It's very much like a spaghetti western. I know Tarantino loves the spaghetti western.
Yeah.
So, and it's no surprise later on in his career that he's made westerns. But I just found that scene just so intense until, stabs her.
Yeah, and then the when she quickly jumps up and screams and everything. Yeah, it's a hell of a scene.
There's an interesting bit as well. There's like a single shot on Butch when we're introduced to Marcellus Wallace, but it's just all on Butch in a single. He says nothing. It's all Marcellus Wallace just talking, but you don't see his face. It's just the back of his head, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was good. And also, do you remember the cut on the back of his head? He has a plaster.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, he just cut himself shaving, but there were many theories actually into the cut on the back of his head. There was this one theory that it was like it's where his soul has escaped his body.
Right.
Yeah, I've read some really weird theories about Pulp Fiction.
There's so many great bits.
Oh, Jules and they're hanging out. Yeah. I like because when you're first introduced to them, they just seem like some really cool, friendly guys who are just talking to each other about Europe and a bunch of other things and stories about Marcellus Wallace, and they just seem really chill and friendly. What's his face? John Travolta. Every time he goes to the bathroom, something crazy happens. Have you noticed? Yeah, somebody pointed this out. I thought it was amazing. So when he goes to the bathroom in her house, he goes to the toilet to like prep himself up and stuff, and she nicks his heroin, and she ODs. Yeah. So that's number 1. He goes to the bathroom and she ODs. Number 2, if you're looking at how the film is laid out, is with Butch, and he goes to the toilet in Butch's apartment, leaves his Uzi on the table, and Butch shoots him, and he dies. And then, if dying wasn't enough, he does it again. And in the continuation of his story with Samuel Jackson, with Jules, he goes to the bathroom again, and they get held up by Tim Roth and his wife. Yeah. But have you noticed that every time he goes to the toilet, shit happens, like literally and figuratively?
Yeah, just don't go to the bathroom in this film.
No, exactly. I really like the scene where he dies as well, because it came as a hell of a surprise.
Yeah,
because
like, oh,
yeah,
what?
Especially because
and then they come back. He's like, oh, it's not in the right order.
Yeah, especially because he's like the hero in 2 segments. He's like one of the good guys in 2 segments, and then you've got this other good guy.
It's not difficult to work out either.
No. It's it's.
I don't think it's
not
terribly important either. To be honest, it's very much a hangout film with these gangsters. Really,
No, I
just
agree.
a bit chopped up in the wrong order.
Yeah.
So, what would you give it? Directing?
I'd give directing an 8, like an 8. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I think I would probably give it
9.
The only disappointing thing I would say is that the second scene, actually, with Vincent and Jules, is so strong between those two that you immediately want to.
Yeah, you want more of them.
You want more. You want to see Jules again, especially.
Yeah.
But you don't. You literally don't see him again for like a good hour.
Yeah.
Into the film.
Yeah. I think literally you could make a like a spin-off or a sequel just with Jules, and I think I'd be happy with that.
So screenplay, I think it's probably one of Tarantino's best work in terms of with his writing hat on.
It's so quotable, man. So quotable.
You know, I just found myself after the film just saying, "Say what again? Say what again?"
Yeah, no, that's the best scene. That's the best scene in the universe. I have that memorized. All
right, can you do some?
I could do some. Yeah.
Go on, then.
Okay. Just get me in the right mood.
You knew this was coming before we discussed it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I'm not prepared. It's like, what was it? What does Marcellus Wallace look like? He goes, what? He goes, what was it? Where you from? What? What ain't no country I ever heard. They speak English in what? What? English, motherfucker. Do you speak it? Then describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like. What? Say what again? Say what one more time, motherfucker. You know? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more time. Oh, man, now I've forgotten it. But yeah, no.
The pressure.
Yeah, it's just the pressure. But yeah, it's amazing scene.
Yeah, incredible. I'm not sure Samuel Jackson has been better, really.
Oh, yeah. I think in any film, really.
Do you reckon?
I think
he's great in Django Unchained, but it's just a very different character.
Well, I think that kind of, because, you know, in a lot of Samuel Jackson films after that film, I feel like they just get him to play Jules. Do you know what I mean? It's like, just try and be Jules. But I don't think he's ever kind of captured.
I think in another Jules and Vincent scene, when you actually finally catch up with them again near the end, when they're in the car, they pick up Marvin after they shoot the other guy. Vincent just turns around to just have a chat with Marvin. He just accidentally shoots him in the head. Yeah. It's just like, in any other film, that would be just a horrible moment. But it's
funny.
It's just really funny.
It's really funny. And then what's kind of cool with it is
I've never ever seen something like that in a film before.
But it's kind of amazing as well, because it was really funny, even though it's really dark. And then you'd think it would just kind of drop, but no, it becomes like another main plot point of theirs. The end of the section, it's them getting what's his called, Mr. Wolf, to help them tidy it up. Who's now famous for his his adverts.
When Vincent Wolf comes in, all I could think of was Direct Line. I'm like, oh no, it's the Direct Line guy. Oh no, it's ruined it.
No, they've kind of ruined it. Yeah.
One bit I really did enjoy, actually, in the Butch and Marcellus Wallace part, where they get captured by these rednecks in this gun store. Butch escapes, and he's just about to go out the door, but then he turns round and saves Marcellus Wallace.
Oh yeah, I love the scene of how he picks the weapons as well. They just get progressively more ridiculous. I love it. He picks a hammer first, and then he's like, and then he looks up, and you think, what's he looking at? Baseball bat. Oh, that's good. Then he looks up again. You go, what's he looking at now? Picks a chainsaw. Then it's like, looks up again. Samurai sword.
What I loved about that scene is the fact that Butch and Marcellus Wallace, they're both enemies, but they're coming together as two enemies to defeat a bigger enemy. Yeah. I just love that in films. Yeah. When that happens, it's just...
Their fight in the street was crazy. Scene. That was amazing. I think it's got some of the most epic Tarantino speeches or movie speeches. There's just so much of it. And as I said, it's almost like a season of a series crammed into a movie, but it still feels... like it's not been crammed, you know what I mean? There's enough time for like jokes and serious stuff and epic speeches and even just like Tarantino doing his just normal conversation. Yeah. I think that he does that phenomenally, just people having regular conversation.
Yeah, so at 10 for screenplay, Boaz?
Yeah, probably a 10 for the screenplay.
10?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the script is amazing.
I think I would go a 9 just because, as I said, after you see that incredible scene with Jackson and Travolta, that first one, you just want to see Jackson again as Jules, but you have to wait a long time to get there. So that's just 1 point off for that, I would say.
Okay.
So acting, I think all the performances are great. Even, some actors don't have too much to do. Tim Roth, he's in the opening scene with Amanda Plummer as Honey Bunny. Yeah. Probably the best named character. But, I mean, this is, as we said, this is the Jackson and Travolta show for me. Nothing really beats those two performances, especially. And he works really well with Uma Thurman. I think Uma Thurman in this is great as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She does a tremendous job. I think she does a tremendous job. She might be actually, I think, gives the best performance in the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think personally, yeah. I think I never like it in a Tarantino movie, and this is also no exception, where he kind of shows up in the film. I kind of wish he would stop showing up in his own movies.
Well, the one in Django was not the best.
Oh no, that was the worst. That was. So... He cannot do an Australian accent for shit, but But I always find it funny.
Why you picked Australia?
I have no idea. Especially they're in the deep south. But one thing I don't understand is also like I do kind of find it a funny contrast where Jules is bigging up his friend to Vincent, like don't mess up his house and all this, and you got to be cool and all this stuff, and is being so submissive with him when Jules is really mouthy and very aggressive to everybody else. I mean, he killed a man, just like. And but then when the guy comes on screen, it's Tarantino. That just, to me, just like cracks me up. I think that's quite funny. But he doesn't come off as like as hard as. He's quite a soft man, really.
Yeah, I think Ving Rhames is great as well. Again, not in it that much, but the bit where he's just taking out the hillbilly guys, and he says. And Butch says to him, "You okay, man?" And he's like, "No, I'm not okay. I'm pretty far from fucking okay."
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. He goes, "What now? Now I'm going to come here with and a blowtorch and a pair of pliers. You hear me, man? We're going to get medieval on your wares." I love his lines as well. I think they're really cool. Yeah. Do you remember the bit where he's... one of his men is asking like where Bruce Willis is, that he wants to find Bruce Willis's character. And he goes, I want everybody on it. He goes, if he goes to Indochina, I want him to go hiding in a bowl of rice. It's stuff like that. It's like, what the hell? It's, really witty.
Yeah, Ving Rhames is great. That must have been the performance that scored him Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I think acting-wise, for the whole cast, I would probably give probably a solid 8 out of 10, I would say.
Yeah, maybe an 8. I think with some cast members, it might be even a 7. But I think, by and large, maybe an 8, because just the script is so good that literally, however they say it, it's just, it's just gold.
Yeah. So I think overall score for Pulp Fiction is 52 points, which is bloody good, I think. Right, my film then is Inglourious Bastards, or Bastards, as there is an E in the spelling. I chose this one because it's a very interesting one from Tarantino. It's his first historical one. I think is incredibly well written, incredible performances, and probably it has the best character Tarantino has ever written. I think he would say himself.
Yeah. Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz as Colonel Hans Landa.
Oh my. Yeah, he is. He's basically like Nazi Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Because Tarantino, I think, said himself in one of the press conferences, for selling the film, is that he was fully prepared not to make this film if he could not find the right actor for this character, which I find quite extraordinary, really.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Because one thing we should mention about Tarantino, his writing method is quite different to a lot of writers, I would say, because he basically writes as a novelist. He richly wrote Inglourious Basterds as a book,
Really?
and then just whittles it down to a screenplay. So I know originally he wanted to do it as a TV show first of all, or like a 6-part miniseries.
You know, I would love to see that.
Yeah. So let's start off with acting then, with Inglourious Basterds. Only one place to start with acting, and that's Christoph Waltz's appearance as Colonel Hans Landa in this film, who is quite extraordinary. I mean, that opening scene where he's talking to the French farmer, it's just a great play on language, really. Because you're always thinking, why has he changed from French to English? And then you have a shot where we're looking through the floorboards at, these pair of eyes, and he's sheltering Jews under the floorboards, and you're like, oh, that's why he changed it. He's not showing off his acting talent.
Yeah. It's really clever as well, because he comes across as very friendly and really sort of eccentric. And and
he's definitely one of these actors where
just an incredible
there's no
villain.
one like him, I don't think, in cinema right now, or in TV for that matter. And there's no surprise he immediately basically wrote another character for him in his next film. Django as
who's like
Dr.
the
King Schultz.
the polar opposite of
When he switches back to French, he's like, oh, will you follow my masquerade now? And he goes into this fluent French.
Oh yeah. I like the bit just before that, because he's setting up like his speech about like Jews and rats.
Oh
like,
that's great.
Yeah, that's just amazing. It's like, you don't know why you don't like them. You just don't like rats. And then he was talking about like Jews are like rats, but he doesn't mean it as an insult. He means like they'll hide anywhere because when they have no dignity. But he says like a German is like a hawk, like their propaganda. But he just looks at like honorable places to hide, And he says like I can think like a Jew, And then it's just where he does that switch of like, you're hiding enemies of the state, like that. And it's like he's gone from this friendly...
Hiding enemies of the state, are you not?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's amazing. Like, that made my heart, just hit the deck. That was such a good scene. Because you think he's just being friendly and just like a fanatical Nazi or whatever. And then when he set himself up for this, like, they're under the floorboards, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, there's another great bit I love from, which is hilarious, from Landa, is when they're in the premiere. He's talking to Bridget von Hammersmark, and he's asking about how she how she injured her leg, and she said, "Oh, I did it mountain climbing," and he absolutely laughs his head off. He literally walks up a few paces and laughs his head off.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, did he actually laugh? Like that seemed so genuine. Yeah. That seemed so like such a genuine moment.
Yeah, who else is great in this film? I think Brad Pitt's great.
Yeah,
he's very
like over American. Yeah. I just love the whole scene where
you all owe me 100 Nazi scalps.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. It's a great introduction to the character. Phenomenal speech. The scene, where they're trying to masquerade in the theater as like Italians.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. And she's like... Gorlami. But I love where he's like... she's like, just pretend to be Italians. Germans don't know what the hell an Italian sounds like. and he speaks fluent Italian.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. I love that.
It's just so funny as well.
Yeah, you can tell he's screwing with them.
Landa knows as soon as they walk in. As soon as they see him, they're the Americans.
yeah. But yeah, it's just incredible, and an amazing twist where he sides with them for protection by the US government.
I think that was his downfall, because obviously he gets the swastika carved into his forehead right at the end.
Yeah.
I think his own charm and arrogance was his own downfall with that. You know, it's like, they'll agree to this plan.
Exactly.
It's fine.
They'll honor their word. But it's hilarious because he's like, they'll honor their word, the American, and all this. But he hasn't honored a single thing he set out to do or was meant to do. Mm-hmm. Actually, one thing I rewatched Inglourious Bastards, and I think even very early on in the film, there are hints that Hans Landa has thought about this plan about defecting to the Americans really early on in the film. Yeah.
Where did you see that?
So there are a few kind of weird ones, like, so it was that Jewish woman's theatre place, Shoshana, and she wanted to get revenge, and she's burnt them. She locks the thing down and burns it. And when he's having dinner with her, it's one of those things, because he got a good look of her as a child and didn't shoot her. And then when he's doing a background check, there's just this really tense scene where she's talking to the, being interviewed by the guy that killed her family. And then he just looks at her.
In the restaurant?
Yeah, in the restaurant.
Where they're eating the strudel.
The strudel, yeah. Wait for the creme. Yeah. And then he just looks at her, really intensely.
Yeah.
And then, I can't remember. I think he was like, I know for definite that she is the woman I've been searching for. She is a Jew. And if they watch this film in this cinema, they're probably all going to die in it. I think I think he probably actually already had that plan very, very early on.
I think Michael Fassbender's great as well
as
Lieutenant Archie Hickox.
Yeah, I think there are some other really cool. I think the villains in this are of a really high caliber.
The Gestapo officer. Should we talk a bit about that basement scene?
Oh yeah, that was really good with the Mexican
I think
standoff.
That's probably my favourite scene in the film. Just the whole way that's structured.
It's tense as hell. Man.
Yeah, Fassbender and the Gestapo officer are fantastic. The whole way that's constructed with the fact that Bridget von Hammersmark is talking to the other Germans, the private officers, with the Guess Who game.
Oh, yeah.
And then, she goes off to the other table with Fassbender and Stiglitz. And the guys...
Oh, yeah, they come over to the table.
Wilhelm, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. He has a new son, Maximilian.
Drunk, and he keeps coming over, and then Fassbender's like, "No, go away. We're trying to have a conversation here. We're old friends."
Yeah, but he says it in German, but his German is a bit crap. Yeah.
And then the Gestapo officer's like, "I too find this accent funny."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I love actually because they're almost immediately set off as arch enemies. You basically have an arc of these two arch enemies just meeting, and within 5 minutes they've killed each other. But it's like an increase of tension. You could see that he doesn't trust him, and they're almost like sparring. And I thought that was brilliant, especially when every kind of question he always has an answer for. So he's like, "Well, where's your accent from?" And he goes, "Do you know that? What was it? That German Olympics film where they shot high in the mountains and something, yeah?"
Oh, yeah.
and then you think he would go, "No, I don't." And then he'd say, "Yeah, well, that's where I'm from."
Do you think
of course I do.
Kind of got away with it at that point?
I don't think he could have. I think the guy was really smart, because apparently, I don't remember seeing this myself, but he's reading a book. And the book is about film. It's about German film. So I think, because he obviously Michael Fassbender is set up as this guy that knows everything about German cinema, and I think the other guy is meant to be almost his opposite, his absolute nemesis. He knows everything about German cinema, and it becomes one of these things. And I think almost as soon as they met, I do think he knew he was a British agent. Yeah. And I reckon most of it is just him slyly digging at him. you know, that he actually doesn't know as much as he think he knows.
Yeah, Tarantino loves characters playing with each other.
Yeah.
In a literary sense.
Yeah.
Also,
I love the German 3 and all that shit. That was crazy. That was good.
I think there are some great subtle performances, actually, from Melanie Laurent, who plays Emmanuel, or Shoshana. You know, her interaction with Daniel Bruhl is, who plays Frederick Zoller, is quite interesting as well. She plays it with Bruhl like he's, you know, just an irritating child in a Nazi uniform. Just leave me alone, please. Yeah.
You can tell he's kind of quite, I don't know, like everybody thinks he's they have the picture he's a hero because he's a war hero. And you could tell, like, he's almost pathetically madly in love with her. It's, like, really kind of sad. One thing I find, like, hilarious about the film is, like, Hitler.
Oh, yeah, the guy who plays Hitler.
The guy that plays Hitler.
99999.
He's quite funny.
It's very funny.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. I think, what was it? The only thing I'd say, I wish they got the dude from, have you seen all those Hitler reacts to videos from Downfall? They should have got that guy. They should have got that guy to play Hitler, like
Martin Wuttke.
And if you think about it, there's like hundreds of plans to kill.
All practical effects as well.
Yeah, man. But there's hundreds of plans to kill Hitler that all kind of collide. I just think that's mental.
Yeah.
It's definitely what's his face? Tarantino being like, there is no way Hitler is getting out of the cinema alive. You know, like the cinema's going to go up in flames. What was it? Hans Lander's put a bomb in his thing and the guys have come in there to shoot him. It's like just fucking, it's absolutely
so
insane.
Acting, what would your score be?
There's a lot of good actors. I think like the guy that plays Hans Lander does make everybody else look a little worse because he's just so good. Like he's amazing. I would give him a 10 out of 10. Christoph Waltz is just so good.
Well, he won an Oscar for it.
Oh man, he's so good in that film. I'd give the acting. I might actually give the acting higher than Pulp Fiction. I think it's probably a 9.
They've all got varying great performances. I'm going to go 9. 9 as well. So moving on to directing then. Tarantino has this great thing he does when he cuts away to other scenes, like just little short ones where I think they talk about, I think Landa, when he goes into the basement, they investigate, you know, what's happened, and they find Stiglitz there and think, oh, he was part of the ambush squad, and then they cut away to the three of them, Donnie, Stiglitz, and one of the Austrian-born Jews.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like gunning down this jeep of Nazis. It's just, all you just hear and see is just massive machine gun fire.
Yeah. Stiglitz was cool.
Yeah, they do a lot with Stiglitz actually in that type of.
Yeah, a lot of it is in
they
flashback.
Cut away, They even give him a cool title card when they talk about him, and then Samuel Jackson has a voiceover talking about what he's about, and he's basically just killing a load of Nazis.
Yeah, but what's crazy is he's a German soldier. So he's a German soldier that just like starts killing the.
Yeah, he's Jewish. That's why.
Yeah, is it? Was that actually said in the film?
I think so.
I don't remember that ever being said. Just thought he just plain didn't like Nazis.
And also a hilarious bit in the restaurant scene when Goebbels is introduced, and then you suddenly just cut to him and his interpreter shagging, and it's like, whoa, okay.
That was a bit.
Did not expect that.
Yeah, that was a bit much. Yeah. But one thing I noticed about the plot of that film is like they kill all the top Nazis except for like Himmler. I know you're probably not into your Nazi history.
Yeah, he's in there as well, isn't he?
No, literally all the top Nazis except for Himmler.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which I just think is a very peculiar.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, it's a very peculiar one for Tarantino to leave off. Maybe there could be a sequel, killing Himmler. You know, he got away.
I'm not sure you can have a sequel when they butcher Hitler.
Yeah,
the war's over now.
Yeah, well, you got to find Himmler or whatever. Or maybe Himmler takes control of Germany and then, war carries on. Who knows?
And also, the cinematography in this film is gorgeous. Part of the reason why I chose this film, I think. I just don't think you would have the same effect in this film as well if it wasn't shot on film, on 35mm celluloid, you know. You know, Tarantino has always shot his stuff on film, and I just don't think it would work digitally. I know there's a lot of advances in digital now, but there's just something about shooting on film that just looks magical, I think, especially in period stuff like this. Yeah, some of the shots are just stunning, you know. I think there's a little montage scene of Emmanuelle preparing, you know, putting her lipstick on, putting the veil down her face.
That was good.
You know, there's a great shot of her sitting,
isn't that where
leaning against the incline of the window.
Isn't that where she's listening to...
a bit of David Bowie.
David Bowie, that's the one, yeah.
Gorgeously shot, that stuff. Yeah, the cinematographer was Robert Richardson. I think he's done most of his films. I know he's done the last couple. But yeah, gorgeous stuff.
Gorgeous. Do you ever get kind of like there are parts of the film like with Hans Landa where it feels like a detective drama or whatever, but there's parts of the film I don't know if you ever got that feeling, especially with the bastards and stuff, where it feels like a western.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever get that?
I mean, he very much uses western style. Spaghetti western music.
Yeah,
in this
because I always felt like I got that like funny vibe the first couple of times I watched it of like them seeming like it's a western. It almost felt like it was a detective film, a bit of a comedy and a drama, it's got everything.
I do feel like with Tarantino
in a World War II film, you know.
I do feel like with Tarantino, he has always been itching to make a spaghetti western, even before he did his first one in Django Unchained in 2013. I guess he just didn't have the idea, I don't know, but certainly stylistically, it looks that way through most of them, especially this one. So, directing, what would your score be, Mr. Boaz?
Directing, I'd put it pretty damn high. What did I give Pulp Fiction?
8, I think.
8. All right. Yeah, I might give this an 8 as well then.
I think for me, I think it's possibly better directed than Pulp Fiction, not by a long way, but I think it's just... I think it's just shot beautifully.
Yeah. I think, and also like technically...
So I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I would say like technically it's also a better film.
So screenplay, I would say again with probably Pulp Fiction, the strongest aspect of the film is the screenplay.
Oh yeah.
One part I really liked is the bingo joke at the end.
Oh yeah. Like, that's a bingo.
Yeah. Is that how you say it? Like, no, you just say bingo.
Bingo. How fun.
I remember that was in the trailer. I was like, I have to see this film.
That was a great scene.
You know, Landa and Christoph Waltz is fantastic in that.
Yeah.
In that scene. And of course, only Tarantino would put the line right at the end after he carves the swastika into Landa's face, saying, "You know something, Yudovich? I think this might be my masterpiece." Cut to black.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else would have the confidence to write that for the end of their film.
Yeah, I know.
Than Tarantino.
Yeah, well, it is a masterpiece. So you know.
Another bit I loved as well. We talked a bit about the basement scene with Fassbender and the Gestapo officer, but I just love that bit when what's his name? Michael Fassbender knows that the game's up, you know, and he switches back to English, and he's just like, "Well, if this is it, old boy, I hope you don't mind going out speaking the Kings."
Yeah, that was brilliant. You know, yeah, but then always that fucking Gestapo guy has always got to one-up him, and he knows English as well. It's like, again, I think they're perfect nemesis. You know.
And that shootout as well was pretty insane.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Really quick, but just a lot of fast cutting.
Yeah, a lot of death.
Great stuff. Hitler being hilarious. We've talked about that.
Hilarious.
Joke there from Boaz, apparently. And then also, I love the fact that Tarantino committed to have the actors speak the appropriate language.
Oh,
you know, if the Germans were German, they were speaking German.
Exactly. And if they're with
they were
Germans,
French, they were speaking French.
Yeah.
And because there are so many war films where the Germans are speaking English
and the French are speaking English, and everyone's
speaking English, and it's just like, well, they wouldn't really be talking like that. And it's just refreshing to see a proper war film where the actors are speaking the appropriate language.
Yeah, I think that's
which I think is a risk. I think when the producers hear from Tarantino and he's saying, yeah, the actors are going to be speaking the actual language and it's all going to be in subtitles, surely there must have been conversations like, ooh, really? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I don't think the audience likes to read. I think that's too stupid.
Yeah. But I think certainly things are changing. I mean, this is how old is this film? Like 11 years old now? I think certainly audiences are more inclined to watch films that are very heavily subtitled now. I mean, was it Parasite won Best Film?
Yeah, Best Film, yeah.
So and that's entirely, it's a Korean film, isn't it? So, which I think is great. I think screenplay, I think I would give it another 9 out of 10 for me.
I think I might be inclined to do the same.
9 out of 10 for you?
Yeah, 9 out of 10.
Cool. So the overall score for this one is 53.
Did that just win out?
So yeah, that wins by 1 point from Pulp Fiction.
All right, that was close.
So between us, Inglourious Basterds wins this one by 1 sultry point. That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss, you can find us on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. See you on the next one. Pod signing off. Thank you.